Hello and welcome to Planet Smasher HQ. I had a really enjoyable second playtest of Rotvärlden Realms of Carnage last night, and I want to tell you more about the game that I'm working on. Stick around and I'll fill you in. Here's the prototype rulebook for Rotvärlden Realms of Carnage. I wrote this over the last week, mostly by taking the Mystic Skies rules and reconsidering them in the light of a fantasy warband game rather than a whizzing around magic carpet wizard game. Rotvärlden is the name of the setting in Hobgoblin. I created it partly because I wanted an unusual world map that would grab people's attention. But the other thing about the setting of Rotvärlden is that it has got at its core an attempted explanation about why there are so many armies constantly fighting and constantly growing back to full strength and then fighting again. And the conceit there is that there are these guys called the Haunted. They have discovered cursed artifacts which give them tremendous power. Commonly the power to manifest creatures, servants, warriors. Gives me a really obvious way of locking in to the mechanics of Mystic Skies, because Mystic Skies was always about summoning stuff. I should say the basic conceit of Mystic Skies was that it's a tower defense battle where there are two wizards' towers and the forces are trying to destroy the other one's tower whilst defending their own. That conceit kind of gave me this interesting ebb and flow of the battle where you're trying to summon in monsters either side of the board, trying to figure out whether to go heavier on the offense or heavier on the defense. Well, I know this is only a prototype rulebook, but I might give you a quick flip through and just sort of show off some of the things that I think are interesting about it. This is a game that will have between 5 and 20 models on the table at any time. You will start with some of your warband deployed on the table. The decision about what to deploy and what to hold back, I'm hoping should be interesting. In our playtesting game last night, I chose to put a big monster down as part of my deployment, and that ended up backfiring. I should have held it back and allowed my wizard to deploy it in a more strategic place later. I haven't really started the warband writing rules yet, but broadly what's going to happen is you get 100 points, let's say, to spend on models. And so you will buy a monster, a couple of brutes, which are big based guys, a champion, maybe some other warriors. And those are going to be the things that you can summon. You can either deploy at the beginning or summon during the game. But it means that you've got a fixed, understandable pool of models. You can build a warband, you can paint that warband, convert it up, and then you'll know that that's what you've got to draw from. Minions come in these simple classes. This will be familiar to anyone that's played my games. You've basically got ranks 1 to 5, which is monsters, which are rank 5, champions, brutes, which I imagine sort of ogre-sized things, big-based stuff, warriors, which is basically anything that can hold its own in fight, and then scrots, which are little stuff like goblins and beasts and stuff. And they've all got different stats, fairly simple stats here of move, strikes, a saving throw, number of wounds, the maximum number you can have in here. There is going to be a sort of strengths and weaknesses system, a bit like Hobgoblin, so that you can customize the models from just a basic monster. You can add, flavor to it. One thing that I'm trying with this game is Mystic Skies was a 2-player game where you had to attack someone's tower whilst defending your own tower, and it was a very head-to-head game, and I didn't have time during the development of that game to really make it work multiplayer. But we've got a multiplayer game coming up in a couple of weeks, so I've been thinking a lot again about multiplayer initiative structures and multiplayer activation, which is something I'm always thinking about as part of muddling around with Gaslands. So what I've got here is a version that is for head-to-head games with a certain round structure, and then a different one for multiplayer games, which has an initiative deck, and you get 3 activations rather than alternating. You get a sort of a triplet of activations. Basically, the turn is going to be activating either one of your minion units, which could be like this one monster or this unit of 2 brutes, or you get to activate your Haunted. And the Haunted is the sort of centerpiece of any warband. You get exactly one of them, and they are, to a degree, a sort of immortal, ethereal cursor in a strategy game. They are this model that cannot be hurt by anybody else, and that gets 6 activations for every one of the standard minions. Each time I get to activate, I'm going to choose, like, is this the right moment to activate this unit of minions because they're only going to get this one go, or am I going to activate the Haunted? And if you activate the Haunted, first they get a fatigue token, which basically just counts how many activations they've had. Then they make 1 move action and then cast 1 spell, or make a second move action. So basically you can move, cast, move. The spell casting, just like in Mystic Skies, is automatic. You just choose the spell that you want to cast, and it happens. There's no uncertainty about it. Haunted in this game are badasses. If they choose to cast a spell, that spell is happening. So the question is not does the spell happen, but which spell is the right one for this moment. And there's always an opportunity cost for choosing the wrong spell. Activating a minion unit, they basically move and then attack, or attack and then move. And some bits and bobs about moving. Attacking, super simple. It's a D6 dice pool system. There's a target number, a little bit reminiscent of Hobgoblin, where essentially if you're attacking a model of equal or lower rank, so if this monster is attacking this brute, rank 5, rank 3, that's going to be a 4 to hit. So hitting a model of equal or lower rank is a 4. If you're trying to hit a model that's got a higher rank, then that's a 5 to hit. And then there are some places on the table where I've made things more effective. So champions are super effective against warriors and scrots to give them a kind of... someone has the ability to chop through hordes of those guys. Monsters are super effective against terrain, which will be the kind of wizards' towers that are part of the objective, but also some wizards can place destructible terrain, like they can kind of grow stone walls and things. And then I've made scrots, the littlest guys, super effective against monsters. They can kind of swarm a monster and take it down by weight of numbers. That is more than anything to give monsters and to give a rock paper scissors answer to monsters. So if I put down a monster, you can put down some scrots, and that will give you a way of attacking it. I'm messing around with the doomed mechanic. We played a version yesterday which I didn't love, and so we changed it halfway through the game. And so what is happening right now is when a model receives a number of wounds equal to its hit points, then it gets a doomed token. And if at any point during the turn it has both a doomed token and an exhausted token, which basically means it's activated, then pop, it goes off. So that means if you die before you activate, you still get a chance to activate. That's basically what I'm trying to achieve here. What else is happening? Oh yeah, so weapons and equipment. In this game right now, the weapons and equipment are fully WYSIWYG, and there are sort of simple equipment options where you have hand weapon and shield, which allows re-rolling saves of 1. 2 weapons, like this guy, which allows you to re-roll attacks of 1. You've got great weapons, which this guy's got, and that would cause the enemy to suffer -1 on their save rolls. That great weapon seems to be the strongest at the moment, so I might need to have a little think about this. And so it goes. There's basically simple rules for each weapon. So if I've got a spear or a polearm, I get a 3-inch range. If I've got a bow, I get a 12-inch range, but I have to discard attack rolls of 6. If I've got a gun or a crossbow, I get range 9, but I can either move and attack, not both. Banners, musicians, and then there's a bunch of keywords here which haven't really been play tested, but this is the sort of beginnings of, and I would like to customize these models. And then the really new thing that we play tested yesterday was these Triumph cards, which I'm really happy about. So these Triumph cards, I've got a sort of prototype deck that I made here. These are double-sided, and on one side they have on one side they have a Triumph, and on the reverse side they have a Favour, which I might call a Boon, actually. And what we did was we had a river of these out at any one point, and these are each worth 1 victory point. I might vary that. It seems interesting to make some of them worth 0, and allow them to be kind of pity prizes. So here was a row of victory point sort of mini missions that were available to us. And so if, in this case, defend a friendly minion unit is within 3 inches of your tower. So if I had summoned some minions or they had walked back to defend the tower, at the end of an activation I get an opportunity to claim one of these triumphs, and I'd be like, okay, great, I'm going to claim this friendly minion unit, score a victory point. It's 20 victory points to win, and then now that I've claimed it, I can flip it over and I get this favour side. So here it says teleport select a friendly unit in play, place that unit anywhere within 12 inches of its current position. So I can hold that in my hand, and at a later point in the game I've got a cool ability. So this is a lot like the fortune card mechanic in Hobgoblin, but it's also an attempt to build a secondary objective system. And it's also, frankly, pretty much completely ripped off Blitz Bowl, where I really like the system. And so here there's a river, and at the end of the turn, the last card in the river will be discarded. Everything moves down. You get a new triumph. But these are essentially secondary objectives against the main scenario objective. So the main scenario objective in the 2 towers scenario is bash the snot out of the other guy's wizard's tower, and each wound you take off gets you a victory point. So there's sort of a bunch of victory points available in the towers, and then a row of victory points that I can also fish for. And then I suppose I should talk about, I guess, what is maybe the main event here, which is the spells. So every Haunted is going to have 2 sets of cards. They're always going to have these 4 cantrips, which are the basic 4 spells that everyone has access to. Haste, which allows you to select a unit within 9 inches, and it can immediately make a move action. So this allows you to essentially sort of push your minion units around before they activate, so that you can move them into position, and then they can activate and go in for the attack or whatever. So that's an important spell, and it means that your activations, your 6 activations of your Haunted, can be distributed among sort of local blobs of troops. And the reason it has a range is that one of the things that's critical about this game is where your Haunted is on the board is a really important decision. And so pushing them forward or holding them back or keeping them in the middle is a decision that you'll have to make. Blink, place the caster anywhere within 6 inches of its current position. And then there's these 2 manifest spells, Manifest Minions and Manifest Monsters. The difference here is that Manifest Minions, you select 10 points of undeployed minion models of a single type, and then you place them anywhere within 6 inches of either the caster or your tower. So this gives you 2 deployment zones, dynamic deployment zones, where I can deploy. So 10 points of models would be like 2 ogres, 3 warriors, 5 scrots. It's not enough to deploy a champion or a monster. And so that's where Manifest Monster comes in. So manifest a single undeployed minion model from your warband. So here I can deploy 1 model regardless of its cost. So obviously I'm going to choose one of these expensive ones. So those are the cantrips. Those are the basic things that everybody gets. And then there are a range, it's quite a lot, I'm not even sure how many there are here. There are a range of other sort of sets of spells. Now these will be likely spells or special abilities that come from a cursed artifact. So here, this one is currently called the Red King, but it might be like the Mask of the Red King. And this Haunted is wearing the Mask of the Red King, and so gets these 4 spells, and probably will get some kind of advantage and disadvantage, some kind of special thing and special weakness as well, because that's thematic to these cursed artifacts, is that all of them have some kind of curse. And so the intention here is to provide the warband with a play style. And so here, what have we got? So this is, so this was the one that my opponent played yesterday. And I'll cut right to the punchline, which is there is a spell here which is cast once, which is once per round limited, called Whispers of Betrayal. And this says once per round, target a group of minions within 9 inches of the caster. Target unit is controlled by the caster's controller until the end of the round and counts as friendly to them. So this was basically, he was able to steal one of my powerful models off me once per turn one of those units. And so it sounds incredibly strong, and it is incredibly strong, but it also created a huge dynamic in the game of when was I going to activate my big models, which of my big models was I going to activate. If I push a powerful model back to home base to defend my tower, am I actually just giving him a piece to attack my tower with? All that good stuff. So Whispers of Betrayal. And then the other one here that's super powerful is By My Will, once per round again, discard all exhausted tokens from friendly minion units within 6 inches of the caster or the tower. So he managed to swamp my tower with minions. He'd pushed his Haunted all the way up right into my backfield. He then used By My Will and got essentially 2 goes of attacking my tower, and that was very powerful. And here's the spells I played with. So I had an important unit in the centre of the board. So I cast this Unnatural Fortitude on it. Target a friendly minion unit within 12 inches of the caster. The target unit gains +2 to its save statistic until the end of the round. So they suddenly went from, they were warriors, so they suddenly went from 4s on their saving throw to 2s on their saving throw. And that was annoying because he had used his Whispers of Betrayal spell to grab my monster, who was standing right behind these guys. So then he was going to destroy them with my own monster, but I Unnatural Fortitude, so it was kind of pointless because he'd be throwing dice and I'd be almost certainly saving. And then later I cast Spiky on it. Select a friendly unit until the end of the round. Hits saved by this unit are applied as hits back on the attacker. So that protected them from the guys on the other side, because it's like, well, it's really difficult to attack them, and if you fail to get through their armor, then they're going to reflect hits back on you. So this was a kind of fun combo. This one is units within 9 inches can reroll failed save throws. That ended up being kind of important with the block of people that was threatening his tower. And then Overpower, make a unit super effective against models of a higher rank. He thought he could bully a champion with a monster, and this spell allowed me to turn the tables on him. In general, there's not as powerful a set of spells here as there were in the one with Whispers of Betrayal and By My Will. But, you know, it's early days and there's a lot of playtesting to go. I've got, you know, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's like 12 spell sort of laws here. So there's plenty of raw materials here. Almost certainly these are the things that are going to need the most work. But in each one of these lies like a specific play style where, knowing that this is my spell school, you know, this one's all about movement tricks. So knowing I've got movement tricks, then I might build a warband that has, you know, more mobile models in it. I might go with lower ranks, faster stuff, or I might, you know, purchase upgrades to strengths and keywords to make my models faster, or whatever. So like each warband will have some spells, some advantages and disadvantages that the artifact gives, and then a set of models that have been chosen to synergize with that. Okay, so that is the prototype rulebook for Rotvärlden, Realms of Carnage. I'm really happy with how the game played yesterday. It felt good. There was lots of summoning monsters in unusual places. Like, you know, there's a whiff of A Billion Suns about, you know, making choices about which models to bring in, but at the same time there isn't a total freedom to it because you've got a list that you have to draw from, and when things are killed from that list, that's it. You can't bring them back unless you have the spell law that allows you to take things back. The Triumph and Fortune deck seems to be like a really good beginning, and I'm excited to start to work on some more scenarios. I've got 4 or 5 other scenarios beyond this 2 towers one drafted up, so I'm going to start exploring that, and I'm really interested to try some multiplayer games to see how the multiplayer games work. Well, that has been a walkthrough of where I'm currently at with Rotvärlden, Realms of Carnage, or Rotivating Piles of Garbage, as my wife has rechristened it. Well, I hope this game sounds intriguing, interesting, enjoyable to you. I'm really excited where the prototype is at. It's in a playable state right now, and so if you want to get access to Rotvärlden, Realms of Carnage, in an early access form, then you can join my Patreon. Pop on over to patreon.com/ Planet Smasher games, and consider subscribing to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee each month. If you do, you'll get access to an increasing catalogue of early access rules, and Rotvärlden Realms of Carnage will probably be the first one up. I'll be adding that as soon as I've got it ready. It's got spell cards and Triumph cards, which you can print and play and sleeve to play yourself. And if you do download it and take a look, I would love some feedback. So hit me up either in the comments here, or come along and join the Rule of Carnage Discord, where I'll be setting up a playtesting channel. All right, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, see you later. Bye.